video journal entry. This is so crazy. It's been a month since my last video journal entry. Oh my gosh, it feels so crazy saying this again. The video journal entry, I don't know if I should count this from one of the year or if I should count it from where I left off. So this would be like 53. We'll do both. I'll do 53 and I'll say why I'm gonna do 53 too as well. So video journal entry one of the year, video journal entry 53 in total, January 31st, 2026. And I'm doing video journal entry 53 because I want to be like 53 in Italy because I'm currently in Italy. If you saw like one of my recent posts on my like community section of my channel, I was like, guess where I'm going. So you guys, if anybody watches this is like, usually these are to me, but there were people who actually watched this and I'm like, wow, thank you for listening to me yap and like express my mind in a way. But that's where I'm at. I'm in Italy, vlog coming soon. I'm gonna try to edit it as soon as possible, but I came here because I want to ski. If you remember last year, I was saying to myself, like, I want to ski. Like, I don't know where I'm going to go, but I want to like ski somewhere, maybe Europe. And I ended up landing on Italy for a number of reasons. I think I'll talk about it more in my video, but I wanted to come to Italy because when I looked at different places in Europe, I wanted a place that was affordable, but also that looked nice. And I would like want to say like, oh, okay, I would kind of want to visit here. So I decided on Italy, even though I low-key didn't think I would be visiting Italy because I've heard mixed things about Italy and I was worried when it comes to like racism, etc. But it's been good so far. Like, it's been really nice and it's been pretty chill. I was kind of nervous about it. I will say though, I think something that attributes to like how my trip experiences are I think like I do things that like keep me out of the way of like those type of experiences, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I feel like those type of experiences, like, I don't like when you're trying to do certain things, like maybe like fine dining and like clubbing, etc. That's when you can like, I think, really start to see the like nastiness of like how do I say it? How to explain it? Of like people's personality and like perception, etc. In some ways, and that depends. Like I said, it all depends. But like, for example, like when I was in Korea, I didn't really have any negative experiences besides when I was like in Hongdae, and like I went to one club and they were like pretty much xenophobic. And, you know, that was the clubbing setting where like people are already very much like superficial looks involved types of things, you know. So that type of behavior won't be as like surprising as much. And I feel like because when I'm traveling, even though I do like a bunch of variation of things, I feel like I end up in places like activity-based, cultural-based, etc., where people are relatively accepting, touristy-based, where people are relatively accepting. And even if I'm not in a touristy place, I end up meeting the people that are like open to meet people. Like, they may not be familiar with like people, but they're like pretty chill about it, you know. They're pretty chill people, and I think like that's had an effect on like how I experience places that I travel. So Italy so far has been good, but I ain't gonna speak on everybody's experience. Yeah, that's something I never do, because I said this on TikTok before, and somebody was like, low-key, some people were like trying to go at me because I said this, and I was like, they asked me about like racism in Switzerland, and I was like, well, if I'm there, it's pretty chill, and I'm not gonna say any definitive answer because it's gonna be very different depending on who you are and what you might get yourself into, you know, and who you just might end up stumbling upon. Like, one black person may have a good experience, another black person won't, just because of like time and place. So alas, Italy, just kiss for me. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back. I know I want to come back for skiing. I don't know culturally what else I want to come back for Italy for. I might want to go to Sicily because the Sicilians I met have been chill people, so I would love to visit Sicily. That was one of the places where I was thinking to myself, if I was to visit Italy, I would want to see Sicily, because they say like the south of Italy is pretty chill, and from my experience, people who I've met who are Sicilian have been chill. But I know the Dolomites and it's been chill, so they're cool with me. Let's see, what am I gonna start off with? I think I'll start off with like my work stuff, because that's where I kind of like ended off with last year. I talked about going part-time. And let me tell y'all, it's been month 2. I'm at the end of month 2 of going part-time, and I love it. Decent to work. Man, this part-time has really relieved a lot of, I think, stress and like anxieties about like certain things. Even though my income is less and things are uncertain, I feel like my mind feels much more clear, bro. Like, and I feel like as a result, I've been a bit more creative, and I'll talk about that in a second. But man, it just feels so much better. Something about not having those Sunday scaries, even though like, and at first I was thinking like I would end up having Monday scaries instead. But I don't really have that much Monday scaries either. Like, I do think like, damn, I gotta go work tomorrow on Tuesday, but like, you know, I'm okay with going to work tomorrow because I've just had like 4 days off. So that schedule has been very nice, bro. But I will say though, it's making me want to descend to work even more. And with that being said, my contract is not gonna be renewed. And I don't think it's because of me going part-time, because I think it's more so because of the budget for the project I've been working on. That's what they explained it to me as. Like, they just heard back from like the budgeting, like they proposed a budget and they just heard back on the budgeting wasn't gonna get renewed. So like contractors and things for like certain aspects of the business won't be getting renewed. And you know, it didn't really come to me as a shock, because like the way this market is, you know, in general. And you know, the way my mind was, to be honest with you, I really wanted to figure some shit out on my own anyway. I was really thinking of like not renewing the contract anyway, so it is what it is. And I ain't gonna lie though, but it's making like working even harder, because it's like, what's the point, bro? But I'm gonna do my best, because my supervisors, and much respect to them, my current supervisor now, he was the one who like recommended to my skip level, who's like the manager of like the department and the project that I've been working on. He was the one who recommended to him that he used to let me know immediately about like the contract not being renewed, so I would have time to figure things out, which must respect to them. That's why like I'm gonna try my best with all the work that I do. But I ain't gonna lie though, it's literally like this feeling like pulling teeth at this point. Like, I gotta come back, when I come back from work next week, I have to start submitting like 400 pieces of like content, artwork, etc. to get reviewed. And I'm just like, for the last, I'm gonna do it though. I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna get it done right. But yeah, that's where I am with that. And with that being said though, I'm trying to figure something out immediately, expeditiously. I was thinking like, do I go to my agency and be like, hey, I need to start looking for something else part-time? But I really don't even want to do that. I want to start making income. I want to replace my part-time income, because now it's not like I'm having to make a full-time income. I'm having to replace a part-time income. So that seems a little bit more digestible. And on another note, like I said, I've been a bit more creative. Like, before I left, I did this little series on my pottery channel, which is like bully me until I fire my kiln, because I really want to fire my kiln. I had put it off for so long just because of stress and like pressures, etc., and just stress about having a kiln. But now I'm like, I'm gonna fire it. And I did this series, and the encouragement that I've had has been like, thank people so much for encouraging me. That's made me really want to push myself to fire my kiln. And with that being said, I've been making extra pieces to go into that fire ring, and I've just been feeling more empowered to do things and like push forward, because sometimes it would feel like so hard to like just go down there and even make a piece. But you know, since I took that break off, it's been easier for me to do. And even now, since like they said like, oh, my contract's not being renewed, I'm like, I want to make something different. Like, I want to do something different in my life. I want to take a whole 180. That's probably right, a 180, a full 180, and do something different in my life. So that's how I'm at with that now. I get these tricklings of doubt, but I'm gonna try to stop myself from feeling that doubt. Leave me be doubt. Go away and push myself forward, because I know I want something different, and I know it's gonna require me to jolt myself into a different direction, back on track of what I want to be doing. With that being said, I also want to perform more too. A goal of mine is I want to book shows. This year. I want to book a paid show. I want to get booked. I want to get flew out. I want to get flew out for a paid show in another country. You feel me? Like, like that's what I want in my life. So like, I went to a jam session earlier in the year, like maybe like a week before I went to this trip. That was fun. It got me back into the act of like performing outside, even though I felt like that performance was really trash. But still, I'm happy. I saw live music. I saw a really great act. It was like insane. It was a really good act, and I just was happy to be like around live music again. And let me push myself creatively. I want to push myself even further. Period. Big shit popping, little things stopping. I want to be something great. You know, sometimes I think I would like subside myself of like certain type of, I'm pretty ambitious, but sometimes I feel like even for myself, I subside myself from like certain ambitions. But I'm just gonna like say F it. Like, I want to be, I am the baddest of the baddest. I'm not famous right now, but bitch, I am famous. I'm a successful, multidisciplinary artist, and I'm gonna succeed. I say that into the void. Like, when I take walks, if I ever go by like Michigan, etc., and I take walks, I like scream it out like, I am successful. My family is safe. We're healthy. Da, 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 da. I'm successful in everything I do. I be screaming it into the ocean. Gigi right there next to me. She be looking at me like, okay. But man, like, it's up and stuck there. Next thing I want to think about, my dad had to go to the hospital for the flu. That was very scary, because he had the flu. Because he smoked, it made it even worse, and he ended up being hospitalized for like what they think was pneumonia. But I think that trip was a blessing and curse, because it was a blessing It was a curse because nobody wants a family member to be in the hospital. But it was a blessing because my dad has since not smoked cigarettes since he had been in the hospital. And he said he probably has not had gone without cigarettes for decades, right? So that's good because we've been wanting him to stop smoking. And also too, it really, like, we know about the insidiousness of the medical industry, insurance industry, etc. But like seeing the medical industry firsthand and like what it's looking like now, and I think it's gonna be even worse in the future, it's really like eye-opening to me and really a pressure on my back to try to be as healthy as possible that I can, to sustain my health. Like my mom was like, my mom was kind of having an argument. She was saying like, you know, you're not gonna be young forever, da 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 da. And I understand that, and I understand like sometimes your body will give on you. You can't do anything about it. But I also think that like we really need to like push and sustain our bodies as much as we can before it even gets to that point. Even though you never know with life, but still, because a few things have been happening, right? First of all, when I was in the hospital, I realized that doctors aren't trying to see their patients that often in a day. Like if you're not about to croak out, they're not trying to see you more than once a day. Not to mention, but on top of that though, they're not really like giving enough time for people to digest what's going on with them. Because I don't think people understand, I don't think medical professionals understand that people aren't studying their whole lives like doctors to understand when they finally end up in the hospital, everything that's being diagnosed and prognosis with them. And I feel like that's how people, it seems like some medical professionals think. Like they think like people just understand everything that they're saying to them and they'll go off and do their next patient. And that's not how it works. But on top of doctors being stressed, busy, whatever, not wanting to see people more than once a day, nurses have been deprofessionalized, so they're going to be getting less aid. We're already down on doctors. Who's filling that gap between doctors and patients in that interim? Nurses. Now we're going to have less nurses, right? What's also happening? Big beautiful bill. Medical funding. Hospitals are closing. So you have less nurses, less doctors, and hospitals are closing. I'm not going to lie to you. I think they're trying to unalive people en masse. I think they're trying to unalive people and trying to make people debt slaves. And it's a sad thing to see. Like it was very sad to like understand all of that. And I also noticed too, with like, you need people to you need to advocate for yourself, and you need people to advocate for you in the hospital. Because I noticed a shift. I always heard about how like women in general, like women kids are really a muscle for men to have, because men are perceived differently when people understand that they're a father, they're a husband. People soften, right? And I kind of understand. I heard that, but I saw it in action with my dad. I feel like when people thought that my dad was probably just this black man by himself in the hospital, it was a bit differently than when they saw him. When I would come to visit and I would ask questions like, what's going on with this, that, and the third, then they understood, oh, he's a father, he has a daughter, family, etc. And I think the treatment was a little bit different in that regard. And you know, it was sad to see, but me personally, I've always been skeptical about medical industry, not the science behind it. Let me not get this twisted. I'm not anti-science. Let me never get that twisted, because I feel like that's going to hurt people too, because people are anti-medicine, anti-science. That's another thing. The push for anti-vaccination, all this anti-rhetoric, I think they did that on purpose to get people placated from when they start stripping them of that medical services, so that people can literally rid themselves of it on their own terms without protesting. A different story for a different day. But like, I'm not anti-science, but I have always been skeptical about medicine because I'm a black woman, and our place in science and black people's place in science and medicine has been good. So I have been skeptical about it, and like it's reinforcing that I just need to keep on my toes about health, about medicine, etc. So that's something that I was thinking about this month as well. I feel like I've been rambling fast. I had a lot to think about, but I've been talking fast. It's funny too, because I was like, when I was ready to make this video, I was like, dang it, wait a minute, today's the 31st. I need to make my monthly recap journal entry. And I was like, I didn't write any notes, because usually I would like mark down little things throughout the week that I would think about. But this kind of going off the dome. I'll do that. I've done that with like several other video journal entries, but I think it's kind of good to do it right now off the dome, because it's making me really think about the core things that I have thought about this month. That's where I'm at with it. When it comes to the travel, my mom and my dad watching Gigi, which is making me feel so relieved, because if y'all remember when I was thinking about getting a dog, travel was a big thing, and I was like very like on the money on like thinking about how I was gonna navigate that and being like a dog owner, dog mom. And like I'm really happy that, you know, my parents were able to look out for her, and like Gigi's doing well. That's something that I thought I wanted a puppy, but immediately after I started fostering, I knew immediately that like, no, actually I want an adult dog. And that's been so clutch, because imagine if I had a puppy, I probably wouldn't be able to do much for like the next 2 to 3 years till I like really train that dog. Like Gigi is such a sweet girl. She came so sweet, maybe little behavioral manner things that like she picks up on quickly, she's been a great dog, and like that helps make things a lot more easier. So now I feel really at ease that like I know I don't have to like give up travel per se. And even like my parents, I was ready to have the daycare and all that type of stuff, which I was actually gonna have her do daycare, and then my dad would, like, go get her, but she's scared of elevators. And I'm like city adjacent. Not a lot of people like are in like non-apartments, etc. So my dad was like, just leave her here, I'm gonna watch her, and I was like, okay. Okay. And it's been going good. He's been sending me updates, so I'm happy about that. But oh, I'm not done yet. I was about to say that's about it for me. No, the country's rapidly. What is it with the beginning of the year that this administration just likes to double down and like really look what's happening in Minnesota? Sickening. And then I just read something about like they've arrested 2 journalists for their documentation of like a protest. You did what now? Look. It's really all very sickening. And I think people are really starting to understand. I think people in general are starting to understand. There's still people that are still brainwashed, but I think in mass, people are starting to wake up a bit more. I think we could still wake up a little bit more as a people, but you know, we're getting somewhere, it seems like. And funny enough, though, speaking of this administration, I saw a Cheeto Puff president bobblehead on one of the slopes when I was going on one of the ski lifts, and I just looked at it. I'm like, now look here. Fascism ain't do this country much good. Nah, did it? You really don't want around to that. Like, don't try to fall into these people's rhetoric, because they're trying. If they could, they would destroy Europe as well. Like, y'all better tighten up. But man, I wanted this to be an escape, but I couldn't really escape. Man, you can't escape politics, etc. With that being said, though, I was kind of worried about this trip. It was going to be my first time traveling since the administration changed, and I was seeing people like have problems with like their passport or something. I was like, what now? But alas, I'm here though, having a good time. My flight was delayed. Literally, I pretty much like almost missed a whole day of my trip because my flight got delayed. Different story for a different day, but that's what's been on my mind this month. I guess I'm done for good now. See me next month for my monthly journal entry. So I'm gonna do these monthly, like to recap what I've been thinking about. Hoping next month will be a better month. I feel like monthly is a nice cadence because it allows things to happen. I think weekly was kind of like really quick. I think monthly allows things to consolidate on what's happening for the month. And it also makes you feel a bit better because when I think about it in the scope of a month, I feel like, wow, actually, maybe I have been productive. But I feel like if I was to do this on a week-by-week basis, I wonder if I would have felt the same. So that's it for me. See me next month.